And hello, YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of The Zone TV Entertainment with me, your host, Jonathan, once again bringing you my thoughts and spoiler review for the brand new Sony Marvel film, Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, I know I said I was going to do it tomorrow, but I figure everybody's spoiling the damn film now. I'm pretty sure there's leaks out there somewhere, so I might as well talk about my thoughts and go into really in-depth about what I loved about this film and what I didn't like about this film, and what will bring the future of Spider-Man moving forward, and also the MCU. So let's talk about it. But if you don't want to know anything, this is the spoiler. You can go and watch my non-spoiler review, quick thoughts on it, and you could check that out and then watch it, then come back and watch this. Okay, so I already mentioned that I thought this movie is awesome. I thought that this is actually my second favorite MCU / Sony Spider-Man movie. Okay, this is my favorite. You know, we have Homecoming, Far From Home, and now this one. This is the best one out of all three. So, but it's not my favorite Spider-Man movie of all time. That still belongs to Spider-Verse. So I want to get into more depth of the plot of the film. So in the plot of the film, it's really kind of simple. It's basically his secret gets exposed, and you know he's struggling. You know, everybody knows he's Spider-Man. His teachers know, his classmates know, Flash Thompson knows, and you know how he is. You know, he's already acting, yeah, Spider-Man's best friend, and now he thinks, oh yeah, Peter Parker's my best friend, and all this and that. And then, of course, the gang, you know, him, Ned, and MJ are just trying to get into college. And, of course, their acceptance letters come in, and they get denied to go to MIT due to the fact that the controversy of him being Spider-Man is now out. And he has no idea what to do. You know, he blames himself for what happened, you know, even though he didn't do anything. And he wants to figure out what to do and how to fix the problem so that way MJ and Ned can go to college. And for the most part, like I said, I liked that stuff. When they started having helicopters follow him, news cameras, everybody was cheering for him. They're like, yeah, Peter Parker, yeah. Some were like against him. I wanted to see more of that, and we didn't get that. Okay? We didn't get that. And that was one of my biggest negatives about this film. I'm like, you made it look like this film is gonna have, okay, Peter's on the run, and you know he's gonna have to try to clear his name, and also, you know, these villains start showing up, and he's got to fix that, and try to, you know, get things back to normal. And of course he goes to Doctor Strange, and then he meets him, and then, you know, he botches the spell to try to forget everybody Spider-Man. And then all the villains start showing up. And then that was his job to basically go around and capture them, pretty much. He gives them basically I don't want to say a Pokeball shooter, but kind of like a Pokeball shooter, but it doesn't shoot a Pokeball. It shoots webs. And because Doctor Strange gave it to him, his own magic, he shoots a web and it teleports them to a special dungeon that Doctor Strange has, and they all get locked up. So he has to go one at a time to try to catch them all, if you will. And for the most part, he does it pretty quickly. Obviously, Green Goblin is the one person he doesn't capture right away. Green Goblin goes to him because he's still having that whole, oh, the Goblin's talking inside my head, but Norman Osborn has no idea what the heck is going on. And then the Goblin's like, oh, we're in a new world. We can conquer it, blah, 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 blah. And I thought that stuff worked. Listen, Willem Dafoe in this movie, like I said before in my non-spoiler review, he was great. And I personally am saying this again, he was better here than he was in the original Spider-Man. And he was great in the original Spider-Man, don't get me wrong. But I thought that they gave him more to do here than in that one. But they all had more to do in this movie. It was like none of them ever missed a beat, so they were all great. Some of them, who a lot of people don't like as villains, got to be redeemed a little bit. And none of them felt, you know, cluttered. You know, normally when a Spider-Man movie comes out and have multiple villains, it's like, oh, are they going to have so many villains? Are they going to pull another Amazing Spider-Man? And no, it doesn't. It doesn't feel like that at all. They all had great spots, great moments to be in screen. It didn't feel like they were taking up too much space. That's the way I see it. And I thought each moment was great. The bridge scene between Dr. Octopus and Spider-Man worked. I love that scene. I thought it was great. It's not my favorite scene of, of any of the Spider-Man fight scenes in any of the movies. No, it's not. It ain't come close to any of that. But for the MCU Spider-Man stuff, it's pretty fun. I wish it was a little bit longer though, but whatever. And then we get great moments between Ned and MJ just trying to talk Peter into not, blaming himself because they don't think it's his fault that they can't go to college because the schools are like, yeah, you're Spider-Man. You'll bring a lot of controversy to our school. We don't want that publicity here. And, I listen, by the way, they finally confirmed that MJ is actually Mary Jane Watson. Not Mary Jane, but they just call her Michelle. That's her name, but her last name is also Watson. I don't know if that's supposed to be just a little, she's a Watson, or it's actually supposed to be that, but I'm considering that she is a Watson, but she doesn't want to take her last name because in the comics her father abandoned her family, so it makes sense that with Zendaya playing MJ and the way she plays her, kind of moody a little bit, it would make sense that a girl her age would be like, well, my father doesn't want me. Why the hell would I want his last name? So to me, she's Mary Jane. I don't care what people say. I think it's clear that, and plus, honestly, she's my second favorite version of Mary Jane. I like Kirsten Dunst, but by the time the third film came out, they kind of just dropped her, like complaining about Spider-Man being more famous than she is and where she is in her career, blah 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 blah. But still. And then, like I said, I thought she did a really good job of just bringing what Mary Jane's supposed to be. She's supposed to be that loyal girlfriend who will support him and do whatever it takes to help him in any situation. She knows his secret. She knows, she could be in danger any minute. But she doesn't care because as long as she's with him, she can help him and be there for him. And same thing with Ned. Even when the cops were interrogating them, it's like They kept the ground covered. And yeah, the cops did show up at one point, or the FBI or whatever it was. And then, of course, they needed a lawyer. And then the big surprise was Matt Murdock finally being in the MCU. Now, don't get me wrong. I enjoy seeing Charlie Cox come back as Matt Murdock. But why did we need him in this movie if they weren't going to follow up with any legal stuff? Maybe the deleted scenes. Sure, okay. I can see that. But for right now, it really didn't serve any point of the story except he was a cool cameo. And I like the cameo, sure, but it was just like pointless to like, oh my God, he's here. He's gonna suit up as Daredevil. No, it was just Matt Murdock. Yep, Matt Murdock is not in the MCU now, guys. So yeah. And if you've seen Hawkeye, kind of adds the I guess the purpose towards him being there, but yeah, but I got some theories about that. I'll save that for next week's Hawkeye video. Anyway, so we got to see that Aunt May dies in this movie, guys. I'm like I said, she dies in this movie because of the Green Goblin, obviously, and man, but before she dies, she gives obviously the greatest line that Spider-Man's ever known. With great power comes great responsibility. So, because remember, Peter's still a kid, and he's struggling. The fact that he lost Tony Stark. I'm still not convinced that Uncle Ben ever existed in the MCU. I think they just cut him out completely, which is very weird that they would do that because Uncle Ben is his moral compass to become who he is. But if they wanted to change it up and kind of make it like, oh yeah, since in the MCU, make it Tony. And, obviously he had Aunt May. It makes sense. So, if that new cartoon show is supposed to be canon towards this, says that Uncle Ben's existed, hopefully it, kind of furthers the purpose of him being who he is. But, to me, in the movie universe right now, I don't think he ever existed, but go figure. And then, of course, we get the big reveal near the end. Toby and Andrew are in this film, people. Yeah, I know, right? Mr. Andrew Garfield is saying, "Oh, I'm not in this. I'm very happy to see that, but no, I'm not in this." He's in it, and they're in a good chunk of the movie too. So it's like, wow, very cool. So we have all the villains. Like I said, they just, Spider-Man finds out about them. They all die in their own respective universes. Most of them, not all of them. We do get to see the Lizard interact with Electro. They knew each other from Oscorp, so it looks like Electro worked at Oscorp in the first movie. We just never saw him in the Amazing Spider-Man 1, so that was cool because Kirk Connors knew who he was. He knew he was a nerd and a dork who worked at Oscorp at the time. Dr. Octopus knew Norman Osborn, so that was interesting. Because in the second one, he comes in the second one, Norman was already gone, so, I mean, okay. And then, of course, you had Sandman in here. And yes, the actor who played him in the third movie, he was back, but he was mostly in sand form throughout the whole movie. But it was cool to see him as well. And then, of course, you get to see all three Spider-Mans try to figure out a way to cure these villains and put them back in their timelines or in their universes without them quote-unquote dying. So I thought that was cool. At one point, Ned had Doctor Strange's powers just because he had the ring. So I thought that was cheesy, but whatever. It was just there for comedy relief. And plus, he opens the portals to find Spider-Man, and he ends up finding Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. So that was for purpose, I guess. But yeah. And then of course we get a great fight scene between Lizard, Sandman, and of course Electro versus all three Spider-Man. That was a great moment. I thought that worked a lot. Really, really cool action scene. The big money shot. We also get to see Peter try, MCU Peter try to cure everybody. He fixes Dr. Octopus at one point. He figure out to make a machine to take away Electro's ultimate power. And then, of course, Electro. He just like, nah, this doesn't feel right. He kind of wanted the power because you do get to meet him when he's back to normal. He's not blue, so that was cool to see Jamie Foxx, be himself and be Electro, which he should have been in the Amazing Spider-Man. I don't know why they made him blue, but okay. I liked him better like this form, but with electricity, he worked a lot better. And yeah, I think everybody had fun with this film. I think everybody who was involved here had a great time being a part of it. We found out that Peter from, Tobey's Peter, he's still with MJ, so that's cool. That's awesome. Andrew's still not over Gwen's death, so that's interesting. There's a moment where, MJ falls off the Statue of Liberty. She falls. Andrew catches her. He kind of redeems himself a little bit. He couldn't save his love, but if he could save MCU's Peter's love, maybe he'll feel a little better. And yeah, of course, when Green Goblin killed Aunt May, Peter went nuts, and the team had to pretty much keep him from killing him, becoming a murderer just like him. He almost did it. He almost killed him. And then we also get a great fight scene between him and Green Goblin in like a hallway. I thought that might be the best Spider-Man scene in the MCU to date. To date. I think that's the best one. That's the best fight scene. Green Goblin shows how powerful he is and how crazy he is. Remember, he has that goblin gas inside him. So it increases his strength to match up with Spider-Man. So it's always been like that. He's kind of like, he's always been the Joker to his Spider-Man. So it was so cool to see him take on a Spider-Man that's not even his Spider-Man and totally dominate him. And to the point where, yeah, when he got angry after he lost Aunt May, he had to come back and retaliate and be more stronger than he was, but proving how strong Spider-Man is in that universe. And it was great. There was a lot of great moments in here. But like I said, there was also stuff that I didn't like. Like I said before, the whole, he's a murderer, and, people trying to investigate him. They had that for like 5 minutes, and then after that, it felt like nobody cared. Yeah, they were still after him, but they never acknowledged that they were after him. The only person who was really after him was J. Jonah Jameson, because he wanted the story. You know how he is. He always wants to put Spider-Man in incriminating moment, so that way he can capture it on film. He always wants that, so that's kind of accurate. And then, of course, he has a great fight scene with Doctor Strange, because Doctor Strange wanted to put back the villains back just the way they were after the spell got botched, and Peter wanted to fix everybody, so we got to see that. That was pretty interesting. Great fight scene between the two of them. Doctor Strange, he lost. He lost to Spider-Man. Spider-Man used his brain instead of magic, so that was kind of cool to see that. And then, of course, the ending was basically, they made a new spell because the portal was, the multiverse was opened up. But you got to see little, Easter eggs of, Rhino, Kraven the Hunter, Scorpion. I thought that was kind of cool because all the villains who knew Spider-Man was Peter Parker was coming through, and they had to close that by basically making everybody forget Peter Parker was Spider-Man. So that includes Ned and MJ. He sacrificed, them knowing him and his love for her to protect her and also protect, the world. Because if they found out that he was Spider-Man, they could also be in danger at any time. So he wanted to spare them so that way they can have their normal life. So I thought that was like, wow, very responsible, if you will. And yeah, but everything was just like, it really worked, and it didn't feel like it was dragging on. It felt like it was like in good pace, and yeah, I thought all that cool stuff was great. I liked it a lot. Even the ending when he promises them, "Hey, I'll find you. I'll tell you the truth." He even stopped himself from doing it. He didn't want her to know, that he was Spider-Man. Probably because of her safety or something else. I don't know, but yeah, he did that. He lost Aunt May, so Happy didn't know who he was. So, he lost Aunt May. He had nothing to do, so he just went to his own. He basically started his own life. So I think by the next movie, if there is a next movie, he will be working for the Daily Bugle. The internet version, and he'll take pictures of Spider-Man and he'll start doing that. Or blog about him or something. That would be kind of cool. We'll see what happens. And then, of course, the very ending shot is him with a new suit. Basically saying that, yeah, he's done with the MCU, but he's going to be Sony's Spider-Man. He had a new suit. It felt more comic accurate, very blue and red. Like, very comic accurate. And I liked the suit a lot. It popped a little bit, so that was cool. I enjoyed it. And it was also a statement saying that, yeah, I'm done with the Tony Stark armor and all that Spider-Man Jr. nonsense. I'm done with the MCU, and I'm going to do my own thing. Even though he's still in the MCU, don't get me wrong, he still is. But now he's going to transition into just him. No more of these villains. And that's another thing I like about this movie. All the villains in this movie had nothing to do with Tony Stark. None of them. And it was great. Yeah, sure, he was fighting villains that had nothing to do with him, period. The only one he had was just Vulture, but Vulture wasn't there. But it was kind of cool, and yeah, sure, it was nostalgic, but still, just him fighting a villain or villains that had nothing to do with, oh yeah, Tony Stark cut me off in a freeway, I'm gonna be a villain, or he spilled he spilled coffee all over me, I'm gonna become a villain, or anything stupid like that. I like the other movies too, but I'm sick and tired of seeing Spider-Man being compared to Iron Man. It's just annoying. But because Spider-Man is way stronger than he is, he doesn't need Iron Man to make him technology, and he could just do it himself. So we got to see that. That worked. I thought that, like I said, him doing his own thing now, moving forward, could be something great. But we have to wait and see. And of course, let's talk about the after credits, because honestly, there are two of them, and well, one sets up another movie, and another one could set up something futuristic for the MCU or Sony, whatever it is. So the first after credit is basically, you see Eddie Brock, Venom. He's in, Tom Hardy. He's in the MCU now. He's just getting information. He's learning about Iron Man. He's learning about all the superheroes and Thanos. He's writing it all down. He's like, wow, this is fascinating. So there was a billionaire who had made a suit of armor, and he started flying, and the Green Monster, He was just, jotting down. He wanted to go talk to Spider-Man. Then he gets blipped back to his reality. But yet, when he gets blipped back to his reality with Venom, obviously, a piece of Venom just stays there in the MCU. And it starts moving. What does that mean? Well, could mean a couple of things. Could mean one, that there's going to be another Venom, maybe a new actor playing Venom in the MCU. Now the symbiote is going to live in the MCU moving forward. And because that thing's probably going to make its way to New York, because I don't know where he was. He was on that beach in Venom 2, and then he just zapped himself into the hotel in the MCU, so he couldn't have been anywhere. Maybe San Francisco of that universe or something. I don't know. He was in a bar, and then the Venom the symbiote started moving. So that thing could make its way to New York, find Spider-Man. He can get the black suit, and he can possibly create a new Venom. Maybe Eddie Brock. Maybe they'll make an Eddie Brock for that universe. Maybe he meets him there. Maybe they'll bring back that kid from the second film. The one that didn't like him because he wanted MJ. Maybe he'll be the new Venom. Maybe Ned will become Venom because he doesn't know Peter anymore. And if Peter and him don't become friends, and maybe they become rivals at school or something, and he may hate him. It's a possibility, Or it could go to Flash. Flash Thompson does become, Venom in the comics. It's possible. Maybe something else. Who knows? But I thought that was very interesting that door is open for a new Venom possible. So who knows? We have to wait and see what that. And of course, the very last after credit was the trailer for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Now, in that trailer, we got to see a lot of different things. We got to see Doctor Strange's ex-girlfriend. She was about to get married. We got to see that. We got to see a darker version of Doctor Strange. Whatever that means. That could be possibly, maybe that Doctor Strange was the one in this movie, for all we know. We just didn't get a reveal. Because a lot of people still question, like, why would he help him with a spell to get rid of, people's memories of him as Spider-Man and kind of be, like, selfish. Who knows? But, only time will tell. But, yeah, that trailer looked pretty cool. We got to see Wanda. Wanda's in the movie. We got to see Wong. We got to see, Mortal. Mortal looked great, Chewie Ejiofor, he has dreads now. He looked awesome. I can't wait to see him. They got to fight some octopus-looking monster. That looked pretty cool. It looks very, very interesting. And, of course, the director of the movie is Sam Raimi, which is director of the first Spider-Man, so that was kind of cool to see that he's now taking on Doctor Strange and making it more darker and more, creepy. So, who knows what's going to happen in this movie. But, yep, it sets up that movie, the next movie, which will be Doctor Strange. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. But, yeah. Yep. And that's basically what the whole movie was. And like I said, I really like this movie a lot. I think, like I said, it's my favorite out of the MCU Spider-Man movies. To me, it's a 9 out of 10. I think it's great. Like I said, but they have minor, stuff that I didn't like. Like, I wish it would have stuck with just one story. Like, okay, he has this problem. He wants to fix it, and then he does it. But the whole thing with the police and, Matt Murdock showing up, it was like, what was the point of having Matt Murdock besides being, ooh, look, Daredevil's going to show up now. And they didn't need to do that. There was no point. They could have been like, yeah, we need a lawyer. Who should we call? And then don't even say anything. And then show him or mention him by name. That would have been cool. And then no answer. Okay, move on. They could have done that. But they had to do it. Just as like, yeah, Charlie Cox is going to be Daredevil now, which we all knew was going to happen. He'll play a new version of Daredevil / Matt Murdock, but go figure. But it was funny that in that scene, it is a little funny that Matt Murdock was talking to Peter, Aunt May, and Happy Hogan, when Happy Hogan what is it, John Favreau? John Favreau was in the original Daredevil with Ben Affleck, so that's kind of cool. He plays Matt Murdock's friend, so that was kind of cool. So that was a little nod there. So I thought that was fun. But yeah, like I said, I enjoy this movie a lot. Go check it out. If you're a fan of Spider-Man and you're ready to see him transition and actually learn what great power comes great responsibility, and he finally does at the end. He finally does. It took him a while, but he finally realizes that, yeah, he has responsibilities. Even villains that weren't his, showing up in his universe, he thought it was his responsibility. At first, he didn't think that. Well, actually, no, take it back. He did think that. At first, he thought, okay, maybe I should. It shouldn't be my problem, but everybody kept telling him, hey, listen, just because they're here, they might need help. Let's just help them out. He had to learn that the hard way. He lost Aunt May because of that. And then he started realizing maybe I should just take responsibility and fix this. I started the spell. I started trying to change the spell. And then everything got out of whack. So he finally learned that lesson. And now he's going to take that lesson with him moving forward. He's always going to have Aunt May with him in spirit, obviously. And we're going to see a brand new Spider-Man in college or whatever he's going to do, working or whatever. And we're going to see a brand new Spider-Man. Not an actor-wise, because I think Tom Holland will be back. But, yeah, I just cannot wait. I think it's over for the MCU for a little bit. He'll come around when it comes to Avengers Assemble moments, but we'll see. But I think moving forward, I think Spider-Man movies are just going to be Spider-Man movies with Sony and trying to figure out what they're going to do with Venom and all that stuff. Maybe a new Venom. Maybe they get Tom Hardy. Morbius. They didn't mention Morbius. There was no Morbius mentioned. Although maybe he might have been in the clouds. I couldn't really tell. All I saw was Scorpion, Kraven, and Rhino. So we'll see. But yeah, there's my spoiler review of Spider-Man No Way Home. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please leave me a comment below. Let me know what you guys thought about the movie. And what was your favorite moments of this movie. And if you're watching the spoiler one and you've already seen it, don't spoil for people who haven't yet. So thank you very much and have a good day.